Om Yasyatma bhutasya guroh prasadat aham vimuktosmi sharira bandhat sarvopadeshtuh purushottamasya tasyangri yugmam pranatosmi nityam Sharada Sharadambuja Vadana Vadanambuje Sarvada Sarvada Smakam Sannidhim Kriyat. Namaste. Greetings to all of you. We are here to discuss certain salient points about spiritual life. Spirituality has become a watchword of the day. But unfortunately, the real meaning of spiritual life is very difficult to understand. All of us are confused many a time about our actions, whether we are correct or not. Mostly, we are carried away by our own emotions. Otherwise, when we are too much after logical reasoning, we fail to show our emotions where we are supposed to express. So, at any given point of time, there comes a question: what is correct and what is not? Whatever may be the person's stature or position in life, he needs to judge himself whether he is correct or not. We who are gifted to born in this land of Sanatana Dharma, we have forgotten the truth that whatever we do for us, Vedas are the Pramanas. They are the authority to say whether we are correct or not. Otherwise, it becomes a kind of actions born of whims and fancies. So we need to know, we need to check according to the scriptural injunctions whether we are correct or not. Vedaha eva pramanam. Veda means to know. Vid is the root word for the word Veda in Sanskrit. Vida jnane. So Veda is the pramana. And again, Sri Krishna says in the Gita that Yat Shastra Vidhi Mutsrujya Vartate Kamakarataha Sasasiddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Parangatim Tasmad Shastram Pramanante Karya Akarya Vivastito Nyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iha Arhasi. Meaning, whatever you do, you have to get the sanction from the scriptures, and if it's not so, a person cannot be at peace or ananda. That Shanti and Ananda is what we run for in our life with different names and forms. So we conclude that for all our actions, the Shastras, the scriptures has to sanction us. So what does Veda say about life? What is the goal of life? The green portion of the Vedas are called Upanishads. And in the Upanishads are innumerable in number, and many of the Acharyas, including Acharya Shankaracharya, has commented on 10 Upanishads and some more Upanishads by others. In the 10 Upanishads, the cream among the 10 Upanishads is the Mandukya Upanishad. And in the Mandukya Upanishad, there is a mantra which comes almost at the center of the Upanishad. Nantaf pragyam na vahish pragyam na prajnanaganam na pragyam na pragyam adrashtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam Achintyam avyapadesham ekatma pratyasaram shantam shivam advaitam chaturtam manyante sa atma savigneyaha. So I don't want to get into the detailed meaning of this mantra for want of time, but the long and short of it is what Sri Ramakrishna says, that the goal of human life is God realization. One has to realize God in this very birth itself. Otherwise, the life is futile. So, when it comes to God realization, there comes a question whether this God realization is for all or only a few, a selected few. The Shastras declare again and again that this God realization is for all. Everybody is entitled for this God realization. No one is an exception. For other things, a person has to undergo a tough training, and he needs to do a lot of penance or some kind of special practices to attain whatever he desires for. But as far as God realization is concerned, every birth on this blue planet is entitled for God realization. So there comes a question for a common man: am I eligible? If I am eligible, then why am I not into that part of spiritual life? That's where our topic stands. So again, we take recourse to the Upanishads, which says that Nayamatma balahinena labhyaha. This Atman cannot be realized, or God realization cannot happen to one who is weak. Balahinena na labhyaha. What do you mean by weak? What is that weakness? Is it physical weakness or mental weakness, or what is the secrecy of that weakness? So it can't be physical weakness, because whomever saints we see, either in the portrait or in the videos or in pictures or with the stories or the history, most of the saints and seers are physically weak, at least by appearance, including Sri Ramakrishna and Ramana Maharshi and Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi, Swami Vivekananda, and so many other saints. So all are physically, we should say that the physical structure or the form had its own shortcomings. Then what is that? The Upanishads declare that balahinena na labhyaha, the one who is weak cannot realize this Atman, cannot have God realization. What is that? When we turn back the pages of the Gita, Sri Krishna reprimands Arjuna in the first verses of the second chapter of the Gita. Klaibhyam masmagamah partha naitatvayupapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva uttishta parantapa. So he reprimands Arjuna, where from this faint-heartedness have come to you. So you get up, leaving aside all your weaknesses. Now the question comes, was Arjuna weak? No, not at all. We all are aware that Arjuna fought with Lord Shiva to get the Pasupatastra. He fought on par with Lord Shiva himself. And just by the one string of his Gandiva, the entire Kaurava army used to tremble in fear. That is his prowess and power. The most cherished disciple of Dronacharya, on whom he has bestowed all the Vidyas, including Brahmastra, cannot be taken into account of a weak person. Then what does this weakness the Upanishads mean is our question. The Upanishads means that weakness has come upon the Arjuna, the valorous prince of Hastinapura, on account of the attachments he had for the people around him. It's not only for Arjuna, it's also for us, because Acharya Shankara puts in his commentary in the Gita that Arjunam nimitti krutya, keeping Arjuna as a vyaja, as a reason, Sri Krishna bestows this knowledge. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopala nandanaha, where all the Upanishads are like a cow, and Sri Krishna metaphorically is placed as a milkman, milking the milk from the cow called the Upanishads, and the milk is Dugdham Gitamratam Mahat, and the milk is what is the Gita is, Bhagavad Gita. So what does it say? Where from this faint-heartedness, Hridaya Daurbalyam, has come upon you. It's not because that you are weak physically, you cannot be accounted as a weak person. This weakness has come upon you because you have taken the relationships around you as permanent relations. This is where we enter into the topic of spiritual companionship or relationship. We all need a friend, no doubt about it. All of us are in need of a friend to whom we can share, with whom we can rely upon, to whom we would like to travel in all odd and good times of life. But the most unfortunate thing is, whatever relationships we get is almost for every person at one point of time or the other, either he leaves the other person physically or he betrays him and leaves him alone in sorrow. This has been the experience not only of we ourselves, it has been the experience from time immemorial to whomever is born on this earth. If we take some instances from the Puranas and Itihasas, right from Maharaja Shantanu. Shantanu Maharaja fell in love with Mother Ganga. On one condition, she agreed to marry him. Whatever she does, Shantanu should not question. And one by one after another, the children were born to them. And as soon as the new child was born, Mother Ganga took it and drowned it in the Ganges. It happened so for 7 times. That 8th time, Shantanu Maharaja could not control himself and questioned her. So that's a bitter relationship, and Ganga leaves him alone once and for all. What could be the stature of the king of the universe not to question his own wife at the onset of killing his own child? What an amount of sorrow and misery he might have harbored in his bosom every time his own child is being drowned in the river. So the relationship between husband and wife. And again we see the continuation of the story when Shantanu Maharaja fell in love with that fisherwoman, Matsyagandhi. And for that sake, he was in a morose and sober mood for a long time. And Bhishma was a young man with full of energy and enthusiasm and power and prowess to be enthroned in the Simhasana of Hastinapura. At that time, Shantanu could not take this to his son, but Bhishma himself took forward to solve the case. And it was a request of Matsyagandhi that her own son will be enthroned as the princess. For this sake, Bhishma took the Akhanda Brahmacharya, Naishtika Brahmacharya Vrata to maintain celibacy all his life. See, this is between a son and the father. For the sake of the father, a young man, the prince of the kingdom, vast kingdom, took an oath of celibacy and maintained it all his life. What happened? Is this the father has to sacrifice for the son, or the son has to sacrifice for the father? And the father accepted it. So, though we may appreciate the vrata or the oath of Bhishma, it's after all a kind of bitter relationship that one cannot rely upon another for the sake of his own kama or desire. When we take the instance of Kamsa and Devaki, who are brother and sisters, Kamsa got his sister married to Vasudeva. He himself took the part of the charioteer and was driving the horses. Just with one ashariri, he imprisoned both of them. What we understand? He imprisoned his own father, Ugrasena Maharaja, and then he took the kingdom on himself. And further, when he got his sister married to Vasudeva, with one word, where from it came, the assertivity, no one knows. But he took it for granted that the eighth child of Devaki will kill him, and then imprisoned his own sister and then brother-in-law. So how selfish the society is. When Devaki was given in marriage, how many dreams she might have got about the love and affection of his own brother. But what happened? By his own hands he killed all the children, except for the last two. And again, when we go to the case of Hiranyakashipu ruled the entire world for 71 Chatur Yugas. We know the calculations of Chatur Yugas. Entire universe, he is the only king who ruled the entire Bhumandala for 71 Chatur Yugas. All the Devas and Asuras were all subservient to him. Still, he attempted to kill his own son, who is of just 5 years old, only for the sake that his son did not accept him as the creator, Prahlada. So what kind of relationship is this? All these relationships whom we saw, father and son and sister and brother and husband and wife and all that, we praise, we hail these relationships so much, but in the Puranas and Itihasas, what we see is this, that for the sake of selfish reason, the person whom we trusted, the person whom we loved, we relied upon, had betrayed the other one at one point or the other, only for the sake of selfish reasons. The same thing happens in the case of Rama and Kaikeyi. As soon as she was mesmerized, we should say, by Manthara, Kaikeyi changed his plan that Rama should go in exile for 14 years and Bharata should rule the kingdom. What for? Just for the selfish reason that when Rama comes to throne, that he may not take care of her, which is never going to happen. So this fear of losing one's own self, when it comes upon a person, he forgets whom he is, he forgets and forgoes the love and affection the people around himself has for him, and so on and so forth. There are so many other examples too. Shumbha and Nishubha. They are brothers. They ruled the world together, but for the sake of a damsel, they both fought with each other and then died. What happened to Daksha and Uma? Uma was born as a daughter of Daksha, and for the sake of Lord Parameshwara, whom he did not receive proper respect from Parameshwara, Daksha forgot his daughter Uma and did not call for the Brihaspati Samayaga which he was performing, this disrespect, is it all because of the selfishness, self-centeredness? The characters whom we are discussing are not ordinary characters in the human history. In fact, their life stories only have made the history. That being the case, we need to understand still more deeply what happened to Ravana and Vibhishana. Vibhishana, being a Sattvic person, he tried to advise his brother that it will beget Sarvanasha to the entire kingdom. Still then, once his ego got hurt, Ravana threw him away out of the kingdom. And same thing in the case of Guru and disciple, even we must say, Dronacharya and Arjuna, and again Yadava Prakasha and Sri Ramanuja. Ramanuja was excelling in studies. Out of jealousy, his teacher Yadava Prakasha could not accept it. It went to such an extent that Yadava Prakasha decided to kill him off. And again, we have seen so many instances like this of betrayal. Why it happens? What it teaches us? There comes to our help that the Nitya Sambandha, eternal companionship, is or can be with the Creator alone. There is a saying, the one who can accept you completely is the only one who has created you. So whatever may be our relationships, as it happened in the case of Arjuna, these ephemeral relationships are very temporary relationships. There is a saying in the Prachina Shloka, Yatha kashtancha kashtancha. In the hilly areas, they used to cut the fully grown trees and make it as logs of wood. And it's very difficult to transport the logs of wood from mountain areas to the plains. So what they do is they cut the logs of wood and then put it in the river, streams, and the streams will bring it down. So while putting like that, the pieces of the same tree, they will travel together for some time and then they will get splitted up. They will join with some other woods and then they will travel for some time. And again they will join together with the same tree and again they will get splitted up. And finally when they reach the plains, there will not be any connection with one piece of log of wood with another. Similarly, yatha kashtancha kashtancha. Similarly, these relationships we have in our life is on account of our prarabdha karma, which will last only for only for a short period of time. With some, it's just for a few hours. With some, it's for a few years. And with some, it's for a few decades. Only that much. But the eternal relationship is with God and God alone. So, now the question is, if we would like to have a company, a friend, or a guide, or a person whom we can rely upon, whom we can open ourselves completely without hiding or harboring anything in the darkest recesses of our mind, it is again God and God alone. Because He is the one who can accept us completely. Other than Him, prestige matters to our kith and kins, ego matters to our kith and kins, and again wealth, property, money, caste, creed, community, language, religion, region, everything matters. But for God, nothing matters. For what God matters is we and we alone. So this search of eternal companionship is where our spiritual life really begins. this real search. All other relationships are always ephemeral. Taking these ephemeral relationships to be permanent relationships is what the main reason for weakening our mind, which happened to Arjuna. It's not only Arjuna, even Dronacharya, we see in the Mahabharata, whom no one can defeat in the war. No one can defeat. Because he is the Guru, Acharya, who taught these Kauravas and Pandavas. That being the case, only one word, he did not even took time to verify whether the statement was correct or not. But the one word which Yudhishthira uttered, Ashwattamo Hataha. The later he added, it was not Ashwattama, it is just a Kunjara, I mean to say elephant. He was not, his ears are not ready. Such a great Acharya who can give education in all the fields of warfare to the princes of the vast kingdom got defeated only by one sentence. What made him? He is not physically weak. That is what is called attachment. Attachment kills. Attachment to any object kills. Any person kills. It drains our energy. It weakens our mind. So, we must understand, Sri Ramakrishna says, let's try to understand the difference between Daya and Maya. We all have love and affection, affinity and whatnot on account of Maya, not Daya. What is Daya and what is Maya? Sri Ramakrishna says, Daya is what you have the love and affection for everyone equally, without any distinction. That is what the Gita also says. Shuni chaiva shvapakecha panditaha samadarshinaha. When you have the equal attention, respect, affinity, affection, feeling of oneness towards every being on earth, including the one who eats the dog and the dog itself, he is a learned person. He is a learned person. So, in those terms of the Gita, neither Drona nor Kripa or anyone was learned. Because all these people had attachments. Suhran, Mitra, Ari, Udasina, Madhyastha, Dveshya, Bandhushu, Sadhushvapicha Papeshu, Samabuddhir Vishishyate. That's Samatva Buddhi. From where the Samatva Buddhi will come? Samatva Buddhi is possible only if we think that I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it. Neither I have something to take from him or nothing I have to give for him. If only I have something to give, that is love without any expectation. This is possible only if we accept that, as Sri Ramakrishna says, that he alone is the doer. The doership makes us expect something from others. That gives attachment for our own actions. That weakens the mind. And that anchors our existence towards this ephemeral world. That is the reason that we are not eligible for God realization or Atma Jnana as long as we are anchored to our attachments. Otherwise, these people are not ordinary fellows. Those who fought in the Kurukshetra war, neither Kauravas nor Pandavas, or both the Senadipatis, whomever it may be, neither Shalya, nor Drona, nor Kripa, or Karna. Where is the valor? Incomparable, unparalleled heroes on the earth. But they all have miserably failed on account of their attachments. Why? Because they have not, including Arjuna, who has not understood the truth that Lord is the only one companion we can have for the entire lifetime. All others are temporary. This is true knowledge. So we get attached ourselves to our own kith and kins. It doesn't mean that we have to forego our duties and responsibilities that are entrusted on us by the society, by the scriptures, by the elders, by the social setup, that we must do that. There are no relaxations, but at the same time, we need to know our companionship is with Lord and Lord alone. Once that this idea is set up, whatever duty he has to perform, whatever may be the responsibilities he has to execute, he will not get attached with the people whom he is working with or the people whom he is in an emotional touch. But that is not the case with the other person, who just on account of a few minutes of company we get attached and then suffer forever. Suffer forever. There is a beautiful shloka in the Mandukya Karika, Yadi deham pratakritya. Yadi deham pratakritya adhunaiva sukhi shanto bandha mukto bhavishyasi. The moment you give up this attachment to this body, the very moment itself you have become a mukta. All these relationships we have, the kids and kins and brothers and sisters and parents and whatnot, all have simply tied us in this world. We work for them, we die for them, and finally one fine day, whomever it may be, either they will leave physically or they will leave us alone and then move with somebody else. So the definition of this world, what Sri Krishna says in the Gita, is this, that anityam asukham lokam. It's not told by someone else, it's told by the one whom we are worshipping for thousands of years. For thousands of years we are worshipping him whom he says that the definition of the world is anityam asukham lokam. This loka is full of anitya and asukha. And again, he gives the definition of this janma. This birth, he says that dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is dukkhalaya, means it's a storage of misery, and ashashvatam, it's ephemeral. We are having this birth which is dukkhalaya and ashashvata, and we are living this world which is anityam and asukham. How is it that possible that a person will live happily? It's impossible. It's impossible. So, is it not in contradiction with the dictum of the Vedas that Amritasya putraha Sachidananda Swarupakaha, you are Ananda, you are Satchitananda. Yes, we are really in fact Sachidananda Swarupakaha eva. But unfortunately, when we entangle ourselves with these human relationships and most unfortunately with the objects around us, let it be a cell phone or iPhone or a car or building or land or whatever it may be, or with the relationships, then naturally man becomes dukkhi. He becomes a person of misery. So if he really wants to enjoy the life, there is only one way left for him: to attach himself with the one who is always in Ananda, who is God. Sandrananda vabodhatmakam anupamidam kaladesha vadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigama shata sahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punaruru purusharthatmakam brahma tattvam tattavat bhati sakshat guru pavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam. He is full of ananda, sandra anandam. As much as we attach ourselves with God, who is full of ananda, we are free from misery. Till then, how much ever we may be religious, we may wear all the signs of our religion, we may have all the symbols, we may do Nitya Puja, Parayana, and we may do the ritualistic worship for all the tithis given in our calendar. We may perform all the obligatory rites. Still we are in misery because of this attachment. So attachment is what kills a man and drowns him in the dukkha sagara of this world. The only way to come out of this is to hold on to the Lord. There is a beautiful story which I would like to narrate in the life of Sri Ramanuja. You might have heard about the two disciples of Sri Ramanuja who were very famous. One is Kurathalwan. The other name of Kurathalwan is Srivatsachinnha Misra, and another one is Mudalayandan. It happened so that Kurathalwan, being a very wealthy person, gave away all his wealth in charity, and all of a sudden came to Srirangam from Kanchipuram to serve his master, Guru, Sri Ramanuja. As was the custom in those days, he used to go to the mutt where Sri Ramanuja was residing. All day long he will do the service there, and then he will return back in the evening. In the meanwhile, he will go for uncha vritti. Uncha means this mushti is called uncha. And vritti, he will beg for his food, as is the customary habit of a true Brahmana. And he will cook that. And then his wife, her name was Andal, both of them used to take that as a Guru Prasada. And then they were leading a beautiful and very pure and pious life. It happened so that one day, on account of rain or some other reason, he could not go for uncha vritti, and they were fasting. They were residing in Srirangam. You know very well that Srirangam is otherwise called Bhuloka, Vaikuntham, where all the 365 days there are some utsava or the other. And all the 6 times Naivedya for the Lord will go very meticulously. At around 8:30 p.m., the bell sound of the temple was heard from the hut of Kurathalwan. Both of them heard it. Usually during the Naivedya time in our temples, they will ring the bells. It means that we all will think of the Lord once, that the Lord is having his night food. At this juncture, I would like to tell that Naivedyam doesn't mean that it's a kind of eating or something of that sort. Nivedana means we are telling, we are informing, we are praying to the Lord. It's a kind of prayer. It is not just as we all think Naivedyam means. Generally, we are accustomed to use this word. When it goes inside, it is Naivedyam. When it comes out, it is Prasadam. Though both being the same content, what was kept in the plate or a vessel. Naivedyam means Nivedayami, means I am informing that, O Lord, you have given this morsel of food for me. I am thanking you for this morsel of food. This is what it means. Nivedayami means I am telling, I am informing. So as soon as this Naivedya bell has been heard, Kurathalwan's wife Andal went into a kind of emotion. Because for any sati, good wife, her own husband is a Sripati. So naturally she thought for a moment, oh Lord, you are having timely food for yourself, but you see my husband, who is a Lord for me, is starving. Is it okay for you? She thought for a moment. And then Lord Ranganatha, who had his night meals sumptuously, a little become emotional, we must say that one true bhakta of himself had put forth a question like that, you are having your timely food and my Lord is starving. Can you not look into this matter? So what happened was that Lord Ranganatha instructed the Paricharakas, the Archakas who were offering him food, they take this Naivedya directly to the house of Kuratalvan and give it to him. These Archakas, within 15 to 20 minutes of time, they came running to the Kuratalvan's house and then they pressed the calling bell, 1000 years back. Kuratalvan opened the door and they found 4 Archakas are standing with a golden vessel full of Aravana Payasam. That was the Naivedyam done at around 8:30 p.m. at night. Then Kuratalvan asked, what's the matter? They all reported him, no, it's the order from Lord Ranganatha that this Naivedya Prasada should be given to you. Then he knows where from the signal has gone. So with a condemned look, he looked into his wife, Andal, and asked her a question. Did you say anything to or reported anything to Lord Ranganath? Then Andal told, I did not report in such a way as you are thinking, but then I was feeling shy that you are having timely food, but my pati is not having food. Then Kuratalvan asked a beautiful question to his wife. You see, for how long we both are connected with each other? Since marriage? So hardly 25 years. For just a span of 25 years of our association, and for only one time skipping the food for some reason or the other, if you can feel for me this much and report to the Lord, then will not Lord take care of me, whom myself and the Lord are connected for aeons and aeons. This Jivatma and that Paramatma Sambandha is a Nitya Sambandha. That is an eternal companionship. So he knows when to give and what to give and what not to give and where to give and how to give, etc. You need not have to think about it. This is a beautiful lesson that we all have to learn from the Lord, that Lord is our only companionship forever. So, because He is our own and we are His own, the one which is our own, we will never do any harm to that thing or a person. Let me repeat, a thing or a person which is our own, we will never harm that. Similarly, we being His own, Lord will never do any harm to us. So whatever comes to as a part and parcel of life as dukkha or misery has been given to us for this jiva to attain sufficient maturity to reach Him. Let me repeat it again. So whatever the misery we undergo, or whatever the sorrow we undergo, or whatever the bad experience we undergo, is all given by the Lord according to our prarabdha karma to give sufficient shodhana or purity by suffering, or maturity we must say, to equip ourselves to reach the Lord once and for all, which is our eternal abode, which Kulashekara Alvar says in his Mukunda Mala, Nasta dharme navasunichaye naiva kamo upabhoge yatyat bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan purva karma anurupam yetat prartyam mama bahumatam janma janmantarepi tvatpada amboruhe yugakata nischala bhakti rastu. O Lord, whatever happens to me, let it happen according to my prarabdha karma. Let me have an unflinching devotion at Thy lotus feet. So what do we understand by all this stories, itigasas, Puranas and ephemeral relationships and anecdotes and all that? Is there any practical point that we can carry on in our life on a day-to-day basis? Just a few points. Point number 1. We are His own and God is our own. The one who is our own, we will never harm him. If we human beings may, out of ignorance, out of ajnana, out of arrogance, may tend to harm at any given point of time in our life. But the Lord, who is full of jnana, who is Sachidananda Swarupa, who is Atma Ghana, he can never harm his own children. So, let us trust by all means that whatever comes as misery or sorrow in our life is given by the Lord himself according to our prarabdha karma to clean ourselves of the sins we have created in the previous janmas. If it's not cleaned, this jiva can never have God realization or a spiritual attainment. So let us accept it. Somebody used to say, no mother will willingly harm her children. Similarly, God will never give sorrow that which we will not be able to bear. So this is what our complaint is, right? I have this problem, I have that problem, physical problem, mental problem, relationship problem, house problem, so many issues. Because we need it, God has given it. Why do we need it? That suffering is the only way to clean our karma. God has programmed it in a beautiful way that we will not be overloaded at any given point of time in our life. It's a pakka plan. So let us accept the plan that it has been decided and designed by God and God alone. So let me accept it willingly. That's what Sri Krishna says in the Gita, apariharyete nashochitum arhasi. Apariharyete nashochitum arhasi. Let me complete it with an incident which happened in the Kurukshetra war. Karna was supposed to shoot the Nagastra over Arjuna on account of Kunti's prayer that Karna can shoot it only once. At that time, Shalya instructs that, so you shoot the arrow in such a way that it will hit his chest. And then what happened? He shot the arrow in his own way, and then by the time the arrow was about to hit Arjuna, Sri Krishna, by pressing the Ratha, he put the Ratha 1 feet below the ground. Then Shalya was sarcastically making some remarks. I told again and again that you shoot the arrow little lower than the head. Then Duryodhana commented, you see, Krishna has decided to protect Arjuna. So, if you put a feet or two lower than where he has to shoot, he will take the Ratha still lower than where the Ratha is supposed to be. So once he has decided, Arakshitam tishtati daivarakshitam surakshitam daivahatam vinashyati. He has decided to protect. So on any account he will protect. Similarly, God is there always for our protection. Because we are his own. Vime kuputro kvachitapi jayate kumata na bhavati. Sri Shankara says in Matru Panchakam, there may be bad children, but there can never be a bad mother. So God is our eternal mother. He is our eternal father. So associating ourselves with that eternal companionship alone can give us joy for eternity. All other relationships are ephemeral relationships which brings forth dukkha, sorrow, misery and chaos and confusion only in life. So let us all pray to the Lord that let us try to remember that Nitya Sambandha with the Lord every day. If you ask me how to remember that Nitya Sambandha, there is one beautiful way, very simple and easiest way to remember that Nitya Sambandha with the Lord is to read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna daily. A page or two or more can reinforce the eternal, original, true relationship with the Lord in course of time. Thank you. Sharada Kanthai Nidhe Nidhirtina Vyalaya Nivasaya Ramakrishnaya Mangalam.